context from which you are coming from. I think first and foremost, do they have the capacity to go into the chat and write something?
Yes, they can go into the chat. Yes.
So I want to make sure that we engage these folks, and I want to know, because I've not been here yet, put yourself in the chat room and let me know, where do you come from? I want to know, who are we representing collectively worldwide? Give me a sense of it. I'll even put myself in first. So I'm Richard, and I'm from Toronto. That's where I was born and raised. This is my native city. It's my hometown. We have Mary Gwendolyn Mendez. She's from the Philippines. That's nice. Where else are you folks from? I want to see. Newton, it looks like from India. Fabulous. I see Mumbai in the house. I see Trisha from Jamaica. Curly and Sarnia, I love it. I love that Nigeria is in the house. I love seeing that we got ourselves an incredible group of people here that are just from all parts of the world. I see everything from Jamaica to India. I see Nairobi, Kenya. I love that. I love Delhi, Ghana. We have folks that are in from Kerala, India, Damien, Nigeria, Gurujat, India. I see you, Manbir. I see you, Ashwini. It's wonderful. Good. What a wonderful worldwide group of folks here with us today. I mean, for the time I've got left, I don't need to. What's up, Gaurav? And I don't need to get into either my history, but I don't mind sharing with you my story. And I think my story is important for you to know, because I have sat where you are. Now, although I'm not new to Canada, I was new to business. And when you don't come from an advantaged point of view, direction, or family, when you don't come from a very rich beginning, when you don't come from a family or a start where, mom and dad knows people, or you've got an uncle or aunt that knows how to open doors, you're really on your own. And so I know what it's like to be on your own. I know what it's like to not know where to go, what direction to head in, what door to knock on, or even how to ask to get in. And from that point of view and with that perspective, I know what it's like to start a new journey brand new. And so for me, being in the financial services business, it was not something that came easy. I didn't have parents that was in that industry. I didn't have friends that were in that world. I was fascinated with the idea of the stock market after watching a movie called Wall Street. And it's probably way too old for any of you people, because you're likely young and younger than me. But it was a movie that was really about a young stockbroker that worked under a legendary one. That thanks, Ryan. I now know that one person at least has seen the movie. But it was Michael Douglas that acted opposite to Charlie Sheen. And the legendary story was simply a claim to fame, and then, of course, the imminent fall, all because of debauchery. But that's not the point. The point is that the movie inspired me. I thought to myself, I want to look like that. I want to put on a suit. I want to have one of these what they call them, pocket puffs, and I want to have a fancy watch, and I want to have an office like this. And so I did. I fell in love with the future I saw, and not a future that wanted to emerge for me, but a future I saw was possible given what I saw in a movie. Because if it can be in a movie for fantasy, I knew it could be for real. Because after all, storytellers and filmmakers don't tell stories that have yet to happen. They likely already have. Movies imitate life, they don't predict it. And so, with that said, that's what catalyzed my start. That's what started my journey, from buying a book on how to buy stocks in the stock market to understanding that world and as best as I could, and really just trusting the universe that it would guide me there. But there was one operative thing that happened that I want to share with you, is the number one statement I'll make that should make this an incredible catalyst, or perhaps the beginnings of an aha moment for you. And that is this: what do you want your future to be? Now, I'll let that sink in by asking it one more time. What do you want your future to be? Now, for some of you, you can't even think like, what's even for dinner? Some of you don't even know what you're doing tomorrow. Maybe some people do know what they're doing next Monday. And maybe some people have got their entire month planned out. Maybe you've got eating regimens. Maybe you're on a workout regimen. Maybe you're trying to lose some weight like me. Or maybe you've got plans with family and friends that you're looking forward to. There's some parts of tomorrow that's been planned for, but very, very, very rarely do we have a future by design? Now, very formidable to Sisha's point, if we do not design what comes next, we often default to what is. So in other words, if you just simply stop listening to me, pack this computer or your device in, go about your business, chances are quite high that tomorrow will arrive. Chances are high that there'll be a tomorrow. Chances are high that it'll be called, well, in this particular case, Friday, preceded by Saturday, preceded by Sunday. In other words, if you just leave life as is, it'll likely be okay. But I don't think you want to just be okay. In fact, I think a lot of you that sign up for a workshop like this and want to learn as you are, know you and your family deserve it all. But the only difference between having it all and getting what you got is just a function of designing. I want you to write that word down, please. Just write it down. Take your pen, write it down. Designing. Because if you design it, the universe can deliver it. But the big question then becomes, if you're going to live life by design, what are you designing? And where are you designing it from? I'll say it a different way. Of recent, we've seen the world go through some traumatic times. And what we know is that through hardship and adversity, depending on the experience and depending on the person, you can actually hear a different perspective from one to another. I mean, after all, a natural disaster can hit a town and divide people, as we can hear one person's perspective saying that devastation is fraught, but you can hear it from another person that says, well, this whole devastation has brought us together. We're going to rebuild better than ever. Different people, different perspectives. So the perspective I need to invite you to consider in the time that we have, and here it comes, is what is your perspective on the future? What future do you want? It's been said that in the world of psychology, philosophy, and other areas of research, that human beings are the only species that contemplates the future. So although we might be known as Homo sapiens, we're better described as Homo prospectus. We contemplate the future. I mean, it's very rare that you'll see a monkey thinking about what it's going to do for dinner. It's really rare that you'll see an eagle in its brain patterns thinking about what it's going to do next fall. It is rare to see an animal act in accordance to its contemplation about the future. Human beings are the only ones that actually think about tomorrow. What do I want a year from now? What do I want 2 years from now? What do I want 3 years from now? So it would actually beg the assertion that if we have the capacity to design our future, shouldn't we design it? If we have the God-given talent, ability, skill set, and inept knowledge to design your own future, why don't we? Why do we always just make do with what we get? Why is it we always make do with what we have come? Why is it that we make do with what we will have and endure and hope to just simply come out merely surviving, but not thriving? So when it comes to you designing your future, what I've come to learn, especially studying human behavior and performance psychology, happiness economics, and to make this quite simple because we only have about 20 minutes left together, and I'm really determined to have this be a powerful conversation for you to consider, is that I think it really does come down to trusting yourself. And trusting yourself is really imperative and important. I mean, after all, if it's not for you to be the lead author of what comes next, how is it that you can ever trust, lean into, and want what is, in fact, in your tomorrow? So trusting yourself, I say, comes into 4 dimensions. In other words, there's 4 parts of what makes up you trusting yourself, so to be the lead author of your future. The first that you need to really lean into and understand is what you hold to be true, or in other words, how you relate to truth. Now, said by way of analogy, what's very alarming today is it doesn't seem like facts and reality have much to do with leadership and politics. You get what I'm saying without saying it? I mean, we have a new president of the United States of America who somehow leads from many mistruths, misinformation, or disinformation. In other words, we've lost connection and an appreciation, and dare I even say respect, for just the truth. So to trust yourself, the first thing you need to be is to seek the truth, the facts, and the reality of the what it is you're doing and why it matters. This would include you researching industries you want to be in, being obsessed over data before you decide, being able to look at different perspectives and views and opinions that are made up of various members of media or authorship, historians or researchers. Learn all the facts before you fortify a decision to move. So getting to the depths in the belly of truth is to really function with the facts and all the necessary information. The second dimension of trusting yourself is really developing your own competence. That's right, competence. Competence is your professional ability, your ability to deliver. This is where your skills, your knowledge, your abilities, even your gifts, they all live there. Your competence allows you to deliver a certain experience for people, including yourself, given what it is that you've bought into as the truth. In other words, if you were to decide to get into the financial services business or the money lending business or the real estate business or the accounting business, you're deciding that because you leaned on the facts, the figures, and the information, yeah? But then you grow your skill set and your knowledge base and you become highly competent. You don't want to just be an average professional of a domain. You don't want to be in last place or tapping none of your potential. So competence is the demonstration of your skills and gifts in motion. Now that leaves me to the third dimension, which is reliability. I've met many people who find the truth and they might be competent, but they're not always reliable. They're late, never showing up on time, promising 3 things, delivering 2. Said they would do A, B, and C, but never 1, 2, 3. Being reliable is not just a person of their word. It's not even an individual of integrity, but it's to be able to be counted on. Now, I know for a lot of you in parts of the world in which you come from, this matters. Your word is your bond. In fact, it is so strong that it is an extension of your family's honor, the who you are as a people, maybe even a village, dare I even say a town or a country. So being reliable is a very important part, the third dimension of trusting yourself and your ability. But the fourth and final, and by far the most important, is not only very big and quite critical, but it is also something you simply can't train. You see, you can train people how to research and find truth. You can even train people on how to be more competent, build more skill sets. That's why you're here. It's easy to train, and we can do that if you're committed to it. You can even train people on how to be on time, showing up and doing as they say. But it's really, really hard to teach people how to care. You see, the fourth dimension is heart. Not just caring about your direction and your vocation, your future, but also the people that you serve, the direction you've chosen, and the people that you'll be in service to. So when you start to realize that a function of designing a future worth loving and leaning into is a function of really understanding that your relationship to trusting yourself is equal and proportionate to your relationship to finding the truth, becoming competent, being reliable, and caring for yourself and those you're in service to, regardless of what you choose, regardless of the vocation you have. After all, it's been said that wherever you go, there you are. That's right. Wherever you go, there you are. Sometimes people will say, well, Richard, I don't like that business. That business isn't for me. Or that boss, he's no good. And she's always mean to me. And so they quit and they leave that industry and they make the industry wrong. They make the boss wrong. They make that office wrong. They make that company wrong. And they go to another place thinking there's going to be a different result as a result of bringing the same person you are to a different set of circumstances you experience yourself in. But wherever you go, there you are. So shifting your relationship with yourself and your relationship to what you hold to be true, your competencies, how you are relied upon, and your level of heart really allows you to really function fully, leaning into designing a future worth wanting, designing a future to be driven by, to design a future you can't wait to get to, because it's better than having to got to. Many people work because they must. Very few people get to work because they wish to. And for me, and I know for you, Sisha, much of what we do and how we do it is really a labor of love. We get to really experience the great parts of our gifts and our abilities, which brings me to a concluding thought. that as you embark on this journey of yours to go out there and really design your life by your own hand and no one else's, you want to really understand three things as you build trust in yourself. First, really get to know yourself. Do all the research you must, take all the tests and aptitude quizzes you can to find out what are your skills, what are your gifts, why are you driven. The more you understand yourself, the better you'll be equipped at driving yourself. No drive, no motivation, no inspiration. You have no relationship to who you are, the potential you possess, the possibilities they represent. Get clear on your skills, get clear on your gifts, be able to know exactly what they are and what they are not, and you will be inspired by who you are already, not who you can become. Don't buy it for 1 second, anyone selling that they got the solution. If you sign up for my program, I'll get you inspired. If you buy this book, you'll be motivated. You already have 100% of what you need to live the life in which God has in store for you. But what's in between you and living it is you appreciating it, seeing your skills, seeing your gifts, and putting them in motion. The second is to really understand the opportunity. So regardless of where you put your attention to author your future, the opportunity has to be assessed by way of the company, their mission, even their people. The opportunity is, of course, it's money and it's a paycheck. It's the opportunity to provide, and it's the opportunity of putting food on your table and a roof over your head and those who are counting on you to do. It goes without saying that the opportunity should provide, but it should be the last thing you should worry about. Because I've met many people, and I'm being one of them, that I chased the dollar, but it didn't make a difference. I got the paycheck, but it came without purpose. I mean, I got income, but I was no longer inspired. So it is possible to make money without meaning, without magic. It's possible to get paycheck without purpose. So for you, I would provide, from my decades of experience living on this life and being a professional, that if I was getting started on designing my future, given I know what it is I want, I'd really investigate and understand and better appreciate the company, its mission, and its people. Fall in love with that, and the paycheck will follow. Don't chase the paycheck, right? Chase the family. Which leads me to the last point, and that's around market. I mean, it's really easy to compose the argument that the market isn't right, the economy's in trouble, interest rates are falling, or they're flat, or they're rising, right? Geopolitical events are at an all-time high. World wars are raging, from the Ukraine to Israel to Lebanon to Gaza Strip. And regardless of political views and the reasons for these upsets and the countless other issues the world is facing, like world hunger, like climate change, like equality, diversity, and inclusion, just to name a few, all important issues for mankind. When it comes to you designing your professional future, examine and research the market. Understand, is it the right time? Understand if you're in the right place, and understand if it's going to deliver on what it is you need. I mean, think about it. Imagine back in the time when someone said to you, hey, you want to get into the buggy whip company business? And you said, buggy whip? And you're like, yeah, it's the whip in which you strike a horse to proceed forward. If you hit it harder and more consistently, it makes the horse go faster. That sounds like a fascinating technology. And you get into the buggy whip business. Well, how great is the buggy whip business when Henry Ford invented the car, the T Ford in 1914? You didn't need a buggy whip no more. Gone was that industry. So the future ability of the market is important. How long will that industry be around? Will it be there for me 10, 15, 25 years from now? I know you're young and you likely, in fact, aren't thinking that far ahead, but take it from an old man like me, who, yes, looks still quite young, but you want to think like that. You want to think beyond tomorrow. After all, the greatest chess players don't make moves 1, 2, 5 moves ahead in their mind. They're thinking 15, 20, 30 moves ahead of their opponent, which makes them masters. And you can think the same way. Maybe not in chess, but isn't life but a chess game? Thinking ahead of your opponent being, well, life, its circumstances, its diverse, incredible array of challenge, upset, adversity, and crisis, and blessings, and good times, and opportunities to win. So, for all of you, what this conversation's been about is first, ask yourself the question, what do I want in my future? The sooner you come up with that answer, the sooner you can be in action in attaining it. Number two is shift your relationship with how you trust yourself. Because as the lead author of your own life, you must know the four dimensions of trusting yourself. First, knowing the facts, getting the truth. Number two, understanding your competencies, your skills, your knowledge. The third, growing as an instrument of being reliable, a person of their word and with integrity. And fourth, really truly caring about the space and the direction in which you're heading in. When you do all these things, you will then be very clean and always aligned to who you are, the opportunity you're chasing, and the market in which it's in. If those all work in harmony, you've got yourself a great future ahead. In closing, how do I know that you're in the right place, doing the right thing? Well, here's my answer. If you've got skills and your gifts and you love applying them in a job, role, or profession that never feels like you work a minute of a day, that pays you very well, compensates you fairly, and helps other people too, that you have there is what's called a professional trifecta, the converging of three great forces that provides you the greatest gift of life, which is being an instrument for income with impact. Never having to work a day in your life because you're working with the gifts and skills you've got, the knowledge you have and the drive you possess, delivering a service people need, paying you fairly for what you do, and you never feel like you had to work an hour of your life. It's just you being in service. It's you just being an expression. It's you just living, well, your life by design because you say so. So I hope that was helpful because I spoke to you as if you're my family, my friends, my neighbors, my children, my niece, my nephew. And that would be the conversation I would have with you if you were at this point in your life where you're asking yourself the question, what do I want with my future? And the good news is it could be anything. The work to do, not the bad news, but the work to do is decide. Once you decide, then you go deliver. Make sense? Well, my dear, it was
Wow.
such a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Oh my gosh, Richard, thank you so much. I knew that you were going to deliver and get everyone not just inspired, but give them clarity. And I mean, that's why I'm here. I non-negotiable for me is to have purpose and a payday, as you say. And I can't see myself living any other way. And I'm so excited that this group has been able to learn from you today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I know you had another presentation earlier, and we really appreciate you rushing back to spend this half an hour with us today. There are so many individuals that need this information. So now it's also back to you as a listener. For you new to Canada students, also for those of you who are doing career switches, it really is important to think about designing your future with intention, as well as doing the work. So we are here today. We have a number of employers that are doing speed interviews as well as different sessions. I want to encourage you to take advantage of those sessions. Devant is offering weekly sessions for you for free, but you also have access to coaches, career coaches, the community of support, universities and colleges. We work with over 50,000 students and community members. We work with over 20 universities and colleges and 10 non-for-profits. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Rod Skinkle and Denis Gravel, the president and co-founder of Devant, for giving us this opportunity to connect together, to keep you inspired. Richard, one of the things that you and I had talked about and why I felt, the first time I heard you speak, that I really wanted you to be able to address this group is that, it is challenging mentally going through this process and not getting exactly what you want. So I think that it's important for people to have that focus and that clarity and to have a playbook that you have just delivered for them to make sure that they have the mindset of a champion. There's different things here. Do you want to just be average or do you want to be ahead? Do you want to lead? Do you want to dominate? And I think what happens is after you keep trying and trying, whether that is starting your own business, or that is, working and trying to get that career of your dreams in Canada, sometimes, your mind, your own self keeps you back. And Richard, you and I have talked about, some of the three things that keep us back. And we talked about Jeff, judgment, ego, and fear. And I will never forget that conversation. And I hope that everyone listening today, you have been able to get the tools and the content from Richard on how to face your fears, to get outside of your comfort zone, and to not have an average life, but to have the life you have designed for yourself and for your family. So thank you everyone for being here today. I will see you at the next session. Richard, thank you so much for your time. We will talk again soon. Okay, bye-bye.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody.